Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES Classic. This is another game I used to own. In fact, I want to say it was the first... Was this the first Super NES game I purchased? Yeah, I think it was this and Pilot Wings. But yeah, I would definitely want to say the Super NES system that I picked up back in 1991 or it was 92, something like that. Ended up getting this game. I don't remember why. I don't remember getting it from a used game store. This game was, of course, developed by the Konami dudes who eventually became Treasure. And this, I don't want to say it's a better game than Super Castlevania 3 because it has fewer characters. Obviously, there's only one character in this game. But it has a much better move set, which unfortunately is kind of limited in terms of its use. Okay, give me a second. Start, continue, option. There we go. Okay, bump, whip, item. Yeah, the R button sounds like a good idea. Stereo. Of course, the game has some pretty dope music. Second. It takes a while to start up. Just gotta decompress the samples, I guess. Anyway. Continue, start. There we go. I'm doing a bunch of audio cues because I figure at some point I'm gonna have to splice all this video up. I will be T. Belmont. Whoops. Whoops. God. God. How do I erase? Anyway. There we go. So the A button's to enter, B button's to cancel. Okay. So I'll be T. Belmont. I think it's for Trevor Belmont. This is before Symphony of the Night, so this game was pretty traditional 2D side-scroller. On a time limit, I forgot about that. Regular whip. You can whip in 8 directions in this game, including down and at an angle. You can move in mid-air, unlike the earlier Castlevania games. And you could hold the whip button down to do this garbage. I don't even know what purpose it serves. You can also hold down the whip button and let it drip like that to be a shield, sorta. Let's do a quick check. What else can I do? That's the important stuff. We'll get to the other stuff later. I never realized why these Castlevania games have this stupid leather whip. Because as soon as you kill the first candle, it gets replaced by a stronger whip right away. So I never understood why that was there. And that crumbles, and I'm going to go down into the castle. Okay, let's see. Get things started in earnest. See, I already have a stronger whip. So what's the point of even having the leather whip in the first place? I mean, was the game ever designed so that the candles were too far apart, so that you needed to get a stronger whip as soon as possible? Because there really didn't seem to be any kind of risk. Oh yeah, I can't go this way. To the game because you die here. So the game's telling me to press up, and I can now explore the background because the Super NES has multi-plane scrolling, and you're allowed to go into the background, like in Shinobi Shadow Dancer. Now this isn't a necessary mechanic later in the game. In fact, if anything, it's just a gimmick, because the game's telling you, okay, you have to go through these gates, but they don't serve any purpose, really. It's just, I mean, like, if you remember in Super Mario World, which I'll play later, you had to go through the gates because there were enemies and obstacles on both sides, and you needed to punch the enemies on the other side of the gate in order to make progress. And this here, it just seems like, okay, we're going to throw this in there anyway, so Nintendo will be satisfied that we're, exploiting the hardware. But the problem is that it serves no purpose in the game. So you get stuff like this that allows me to go into the background and avoid that pit. Whoops. But of course, you don't do anything while you're there. Okay, so I can go back and get this meat, I guess. And I'm on a time limit, so I don't want to dilly-dally. So I can go back and collect this crap. So I guess that was the only reason to do that, to get the meat. Oh well, so let's go back to the other side. So I gotta wait for the bat. Should have waited for the bat. If you peep the vines in the foreground, you might see some of them growing as I approach. I think it's kind of cute. Nice little touch. And this technically counts as an animated background, like in Street Fighter. So I guess that's a cute touch. Remember, back in the day, this was a big deal. So this game has 3 levels of parallax. This level has like 3 levels of parallax, which isn't bad. Well, 4 if you count the empty sky in the background. The graphics are reasonably colorful, which I like. I should have gotten it received. So I have to keep that, because I didn't want that. I wanted the boomerang, but this is an old school Castlevania game, so you're not allowed to go back and grab the weapons once you switch them out. Because what was it in what was that? No, it was in Symphony of the Night. You could pick up the weapon that you dropped, because when you got a new weapon, the weapon you're carrying falls behind you, and you can just grab it if you didn't want the new weapon. You can go back and grab the old one. So the game at least gave you the opportunity to grab the weapon that got replaced. But you can't do that in this game. And you just press down and jump to go through the floor. Nope, didn't want that either. Eight daggers. Just a second. There we go. So that's a nice feature that would have been nice to have in the other Castlevania games. Wall chicken? Nope. No wall chicken. I'm disappointed. No Castlevania game without wall chickens. Well, they'll show up eventually. So you can press up right in the midair, right? Yep. So you can jump onto the stairs in midair. So that might save you a bit of time and avoid some enemies. Nope, no wall chicken. Alright. So this is where you can see the parallax scrolling now that we got a bit of a vantage point. Okay, here's the other thing. A mostly worthless mechanic. Hold down the whip button and you will do this Indiana Jones crap right here. Again, it serves no purpose except in a later stage where you use it once. Actually, you use it twice. And I think you use it in a couple of later stages, but for the most part, it's just a gimmick. It's only used in tiny areas. You don't really, in other words, it's not a requirement for secret areas or anything like that, really, as I recall. It's mainly just there as a way to break up the monotony of going from left to right, I guess. So it's not really a required mechanic. There's not a lot of, sophistication behind it. It's just, hey, hold down the whip button, hold up or down the D-pad to lengthen or shorten the length of your whip while you're swinging. But other than that, again, there's not a lot to it. Again, I'm glad they put it in the game. I guess they didn't really have a lot of time to really exploit it and do anything meaningful with it, so that's kind of disappointing. I think the wall chicken's over here, yep. Nope, double shot. Of course, it's worthless, because I don't double shot daggers. Axe would have been nice, though. Boomerang would have been really nice, but I already got rid of it. Whoops. And I want to say at this point in the game, the enemies do 3 pips of damage. I think the projectiles do 2 pips of damage, but the enemies by themselves, you touch the enemies, do 3 pips of damage. But again, I would have preferred if they just used an HP, if they just used numbers instead of a meter, but anyway. You get the idea. There we go. Okay, it respawned. Nothing up there. Where's the boss? Okay. Holy water. Come on. This is the stable, by the way. I do like these colorful graphics, really, but the detail isn't great. It's okay. I mean, the pixel art in this game is like it's first generation Super NES stuff, so it's decent. But kind of disappointing. I mean, I guess Dracula X wasn't much better. So I guess this game does look better than Dracula X now that I think about it. Although, of course, it took a big hit in other ways. Yeah, horse heads, like in Godfather. Cute touch. Can't have a stable without horse heads. Guess it's no wall chicken, but a mysterious wall heart. Again, this is old school, like, Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden crap. Whoops! I don't remember this being so hard. See? And so I got my lever whip back, again, for no reason. I'm gonna lose it as soon as I whip the next item. Or if I whip the next heart. Because in other words, instead of dropping a heart, a small heart like that, it drops a whip power-up. And you can avoid them, I guess, if you just want to... You can completely ignore the whip power-ups. If you don't want to power up your whip for some reason. I can't imagine why you wouldn't. Again, I never understood why it was there. I mean, if people had the option of switching whips, if they wanted a challenge, I guess that would make sense, but I just don't understand why this stuff is here. Anyway, where we were, so I'll get rid of that last reset that I did. That's a suspend point. As we were. Before I died. Heart here, right? Yep, heart. Just a second. Sorry, I forgot to turn down the volume. Alright, so we'll continue here. Alright, so as I was saying. What was I saying before I died? X button, right? X. No. R? R. Yeah, now it's effective as a Symphony of the Night's version. That's okay, because it doesn't do, like, it doesn't do damage on every frame, like in that game. Alright. So we're almost to the boss. Should be on the other side of these. Whoops! I hate the clock. I think it uses... I think I can fall through the floor if these guys hit me. Yeah. Always gotta have Medusa heads. It's kind of a chintzy parallaxing effect here, so... This is the best we could do back in the day. You know, very clear black lines demarcating the different background layers, so... Not exactly, you know, stellar, you know, it's not exactly Thunder Force 3 or anything, but it'll do. Again, these are the kinds of graphics I was like, okay, I was kind of hoping the effect would look better. But if you want to talk about games with really good parallaxing, you have to go to level 2 of this game, actually. We'll see some of that. It's a pretty cool parallaxing effect in level 2 at near the beginning that we'll be able to show you. But you saw a bit of it earlier when I was swinging on that vine. Get rid of that. Alright. But again, I guess on a level of 1, at the time this game came out, I would have given this game's graphics a 7 out of 10. Because it was a launch, this game was a launch title pretty much, but it was no big deal. I lost my double stack, gosh darn it. It's not double stack, I lost my double shot. Yep, fine. Didn't know the dagger could take out these fireballs. I got plenty of hearts. Of course I'm going to lose points. But I can use mine. Whoops! I can use this. It's fine. Not yet. Just a fake out. Not a great fake out though, because it's pretty easy to spot. And this, which drops for no reason. Just like the original Castlevania. Never quite knew. I don't even think Castlevania 3 had these stupid orbs. Just never really understood why they were there. This is a good song too. And this entire stage is pretty good music as well. I mean, the game's on rails anyway. I don't even know why they bother having this cute little map. I mean, it's there, it's nice, but I mean, you know, whatever. So yeah, as Castlevania music goes, this is basically top 5. Well, top 10 definitely, maybe even top 5. Crap! Although I think I think level 4 has some very good music too when we get to that. Get the axe. These hands aren't very hard, they're just kind of here. Keep you from moving too quickly to the right, I guess. But they really aren't a threat. It's like they do any damage. Like, most of the game isn't particularly hard, it's just sort of there. It's like, hey, let's do this. Yeah, but they're not really a threat. You know, other enemies don't show up on screen to, like, really pose a serious problem. And those plant guys you saw earlier coming out of the leaves, I mean, they weren't a big deal either. Yeah, so I can get both of them. That's okay. I can get them eventually. These guys have a very simple pattern, you know. They don't leave their platform. They don't chase after you. I mean, there are Mario enemies that have better AI than these guys. So again, not terribly thrilling. I guess that's a bonus or something. There are lots of little bits like this in the game's design where it's like, okay, it's there and it's a thing, but it just doesn't seem to really make the game better. They just seem to be there just for the heck of it. It's like the entire game was like, okay, let's do a basic level design, but let's not make it terribly complicated. So again, as you saw on that map screen, you might have noticed on the map screen, there's only one path through the game. There are no hidden areas like in Dracula X, whoops. There are no forks in the road like in Castlevania 3. There are no extra characters to pick up. It's just one guy going through 12 levels. So this game is basically an up-res version of Castlevania 1. Though it's not nearly as hard, and it has a slightly more convenient moveset as far as using the whip. Again, the jumping controls and the whip controls are a lot better. But the game just is sort of flat. It's the flattest Castlevania since Castlevania 1, and that's disappointing. Because obviously Simon's Quest was trying to do something different with the whole exploration bit. Castlevania 3 had those multiple paths and the multiple characters, so I'm not even sure why this game gave up on that. I guess they figured they only had 8 megs of memory on this thing. Remember, this game is an 8 megabit cartridge, which is a pretty expensive cartridge back in the day. I mean, most video games were 4 megabits if you could help it back in the 16-bit era. But if you were willing to pony up the money for the... Wow, that frog's got some ups, so to speak. But if you were willing to pony up the money for the bigger 8 megabit cartridge, you know, just pay Nintendo the $50 or whatever, and you would get it. Because remember, Nintendo's cartridges cost $50, and you know, third party carts cost $60. At least if they were, you know, 8 megabits like this game was. I want to say Gradius 3 was a. I want to say that was a 4 megabit cartridge, but this game was definitely an 8 megabit. And I guess they figured they didn't have enough room to add, you know, extra characters. Or they didn't have enough time. Because if you have extra characters, you have to change the level design, you know, to account for those different characters. Because like in Castlevania 3, some characters jumped higher than others. You know, Grant could jump higher and climb walls. Alucard was a bat. He can turn to a bat and fly around, so you have to design the levels around that kind of stuff. But if you design the levels around just one character like this, I mean, fine, you're golden. There's that parallax thing I was talking about. You got a higher vantage point. You get to see some more parallax here. But again, the game kind of cheats because it takes all those trees and puts them on one background layer. It uses the clouds and kind of moves them all in separate layers. But I think that cloud animation is just one background layer, and they just kind of use some kind of trickery to make it animated. So it's 4 layers of clouds, but only one background. You've got to throw the boomerang. Boomerang is massively OP, as you can see. Got through this level in no time at all. That's just the first boss, right? Yeah. There's no boss after that. It's just a regular. It's just a river. If you remember Castlevania, if you remember Dracula X, there's a little raft area, and it's kind of like that. Whoops, I shouldn't have gotten rid of that. And I kind of like how the music cues back up again after you beat the boss. But you see enemies like that flying enemy. Okay, this river actually changes direction. And there's a bit of slowdown because, you know, the bones are kind of hard for the Super NES to process. Along with all these water effects, I suppose. So the river just changes direction every once in a while, like a conveyor belt. See, now it's switched the other direction. So you can see based on the water effects on the ground at my feet, that's how you know so I had to wait till the water goes in the switches direction before I can jump over those spikes, I think. But again, I mean, this isn't terribly hard. It's like these guys are just sitting here, just getting in the way slightly, but they're not really, you know, a threat. So there's a lot of that in this game. A lot of enemies are just kind of there to break up the monotony of going to the right, but they aren't that hard. And this game doesn't really get hard until level 5, I want to say, maybe level 6. And then you get to the treasure room, that gets kind of hard, and then the last 2, like the clock tower is very hard, so that might be the only really hard level of the game. But this, I mean, compared to Castlevania 3 was a real, you know, nut buster. I mean, that game did not give any craps. I mean, that game just punished you constantly. And this game, you know, just kind of sits there, and that's unfortunate. So we'll come back to this. Like I said, this game's just one big 2D, you know, flat, zero exploration kind of game. So it's fine for what it is, but just keep in mind what you're in for. This is a game that costs, what, $10 on the Wii Store? So, you know. We'll come back to this.